So how should I write about it? Like a new player who comes in blind, or as someone who wasted a week on research and on reading manuals and looking up all information I could find? So first of all, I had to move the game from GOG's blurry DOS box 0.74-2.1 to my customized DOS box staging 0.82.0 with all the Instagram filters disabled. For casuals, the GOG's release just works. But for anyone who wants to have clean graphics with no artificial blur, it's a nightmare setup with custom envelopes, centipede, and a hook to cloud storage. The original game has multiple .exe files, and none of them is called Caesar2.exe. The game is the PSEXE. If you put it into your DOS emulator of choice, the game will work, but with no sound. If you run setsound.exe like it's the 80s, you can set the sound effects. But I couldn't find a way to make the music work. I examined all the GOG envelopes but couldn't find the answer how they did enable the music. So, I just took my DOS emulator of choice and copied and replaced it into the GOG folder. Then I edited GOG's launch Caesar2.lnk and removed their config file from the target field while also pointing to my .exe of the emulator. Caesar 2 offers an insane number of improvements over Caesar. There are animatics, a lot of voice used in proper places.
Plebs are needed.
Like warning you about insufficient number of plebs when you have some idling. And well, there's even a decent grace period for you to rectify that, instead of instant retribution. The city GUI is significantly improved, so much so, that it was used in all subsequent games up until Emperor. The decorative walkers from the first game now actually extend the AOE of the buildings they are assigned to. The game has Cohort 3 integrated into it, instead of requiring a separate purchase of Cohort 2 like Caesar. The battle GUI is still absolutely incomprehensible, though. Pressing Escape doesn't offer you to quit. Why did Caesar 3 and Pharaoh change that? The game can look quite similar to Caesar 3 in many places, but in fact they are absolutely nothing alike. With all its bugs, Caesar 3 offers you a tutorial that will not make you win, but it will teach you how at least to make a city. And you will win at least the first 3 maps by yourself. Caesar 2 is such nerd shit that you won't be able to even place your first houses, and you will lose your first map. Literally, you put down the housing, you are billed for that, and it all instantly disappears. Even if you add some amenities first, it will still disappear. By the time you add all the possible buildings hoping that the combination of all of them will make the tent stay, you run out of money, game over. So, okay, let's read the manual, read the in-game help, and play the tutorial. It explains nothing. It is useless. At best you will learn how to put the water fountains, if you didn't know already. Maybe you will learn that in this game the plebs tab is responsible to keep your buildings from being on fire or collapsing. But that's not city building, that's spreadsheets. You can even see the tip that temples are not made for religion, but to protect your cash. What cash? Making money is extremely hard, because there's no trade. You can only tax the citizens and the industry. And investing into industry takes a ton of time and a ton of money. You have to come up with a way to get housing tax first. Not mentioning that in the sequel having housing near the industry is mandatory. This is the root of the Caesar 3 Pharaoh problem of recruiters and ghettos. It was circumvented with solitary shacks emulating global worker pool, so it was just dropped in Zeus. Caesar 3 has overlays so that you can see the problems and services coverage, at least the ones the game allows you to see. That's actually useful information. But in this game there are basically no overlays. First of all, switching them does nothing. You have to press and hold a separate button for them to be finally displayed. And then, they are missing more than a half of the information. How big is the AOE of the baths? How big is anything? Why is this game hides all the information from you? How much building that building costs? Who knows? Not me. The first game does actually display the prices. High unemployment. Okay, how many workers does this building need? Does it need any?
I feel I was denied critical, need to know information.
The game either has no feedback, or it is terrible and useless. Like, they say that the local land value is too low. What they mean is that taxes are too high. Taxes is death. Don't touch those buttons, leave them be. Or maybe that unemployment is too high. More like employment is too low, because this is the opposite day. Or your top-tier citizens can decide to degrade below the shacks, for no reason and die. And they will salt and curse the soil itself. They will just disappear and the most premium land in your city turns into a cursed graveyard. You can't even put new tents there. They will instantly disappear. No refunds. This game is just totally divorced from reality. The battles are a nightmare and are unnecessary. The GUI is meaningless. And the devs even tell you that units using the same sprites can have extremely different characteristics. It's better to have overwhelming numbers and auto-resolve everything. I think at this point I'm gonna say Caesar 3 or Augustus Combat is the best so far. Your input actually matters. It's decently easy to understand, but it's not critical if you are bad at the battles. And you can create proper fortifications by putting a strain on your workforce. A bit of a pity, I say, because some people spent their time actually drawing all those sprites for all those soldiers. It's not their fault that the game designers dropped the bollock. This is not a game where you play the game with the gameplay. The gameplay is not to play, the gameplay is not to plan the city or do anything. The gameplay is to decipher what the hell is even happening, how any of this works, and why are we still here? Just to suffer. The game's tutorial isn't one. The help section isn't helpful. The manual is as fake as manual therapy. Open the YouTube. There are no tutorials. You can either see Lex player failing after the first 10 minutes, or people who have no idea what they are doing struggling and failing to finish the game. One guy speaks the truth, but it's not a tutorial. He doesn't explain anything, just says, this is this and that's all. Your only entryway into the internet is search engines. How else you could know the name of a site you are looking for? But the internet is replaced with AI slop and ads. All the engines are equally terrible. All of them stopped searching for personal sites and blogs, literally the only places where any information resides. All engines just feed you ads and slop aggregators and doorways. No information. Only retellings of information like Wikipedia. No first-hand sources. Even if anything exists, you will not see it. Try to find anything about Secret Wings merch. And I say it exists because I wrote all I know about it myself. On top of search engines being useless AI slop and ads, the Caesar 2 name itself is stolen by some garbage company that pays Google to show only their ads. There are board games, there's some industrial nonsense, and well, the branding wasn't that strong to begin with. I wasted a week combing all available non-diegetic information about the game. I somehow managed to find 2 sites that attempted to write a tutorial. Both are overly verbose, incomplete, unfinished, and outright lie about the game mechanics. One of them even paid for the Caesar2.com domain name. It has the word tutorial in the address. How's that not on the first page of Google? I tried to look at the GameFAQs offerings, but one lies to you from the start. The other is useless. And both of them are plain text. So, with trial and error, and these 2 sites, I managed to beat the game. The sites do not explain the actual mechanics to you, they don't explain why something works. But copying their housing block just works. Trying to modify it or create my own didn't result in anything good. The game just doesn't work that way. You either copy their solution, or lose. Then, both sites have zero useful info about creating an industrial block, or about how the provincial level even works. One of them literally says that industry is useless on one page, and then claims it is crucial to fight unemployment on another. Even at their best, these 2 sites offer only bad attempts at no explanation. If you repeat after them, you don't know why you are doing this. If you copy their taxation loop, you will be $200 in profit per year. That is enough to finish the campaign on Novice. The difficulty level changes how many provinces you have to play before you win. Just create the same tax housing loop 5 times and build roads between the cities. You can't believe that that is all there is to this game. Once you know the rules, there's no gameplay left. Once you balance the spreadsheet, it's just an idle not clicker. Somehow even a bit more idle than Caesar. On the normal difficulty, you have to conquer 10 provinces, and do that while an AI tries to steal all the easiest choices. The unemployment can catch up with you, so you need at least somewhat better provincial work, like adding 1 or 2 more industrial city blocks. But if you balanced your sheets properly, you can pay yourself an insane salary. While the Emperor will be taxing you for no reason, unlike the first game, you are not capped in how much you can bring with you to the next map. You can even stall for 25 years to increase that sum. Even after winning the normal difficulty, you can continue playing the game, beating the remaining provinces, until nothing is left. This game came out during the lost internet times, so we have only scraps of information, and literally no one volunteering to interview all the people involved who are still alive. The remaining old interviews are more concerned with business side of things, or some surface level things. No one asks them about the mechanics and history, at least not that search engines will show you any. My theory, judging by how Impressions Games takes the player feedback into account, they made Caesar 2 as an improved Caesar 1, with a bonus feature of walkers extending the range of the service buildings. But then they saw their closed stable player base abuse the walker system in new ways. So, they took that into the account and based Caesar 3 on walkers to be abused by their own player base, who already did that anyway. Them going mainstream with that game, and confusing normal people unfamiliar with Caesar 2 who were lured with good tutorials on some topics, was an accident. The feedback they've got led to Pharaoh fixing most of the problems with Caesar 3 and significantly relaxing the rules. Then I saw the community complain that Zeus and Emperor removed even more of the annoying mechanics. I like that this game has a campaign, but it's not a campaign that slowly introduces new mechanics. It's just a series of randomly generated missions with escalating difficulty. I don't like that Caesar 2 has a very bad and useless tutorial, and the gameplay is just not very fun. It's less of a city builder and more of a Buchhalter simulation. In the subsequent games you deal with trade and chains of supply. Here it's all tax and managing income versus outcomes. Besides the bad combat, all you can do is idle, or engage in infinite growth, until you fill your whole city map with the same repetitive tiles of city blocks.